Hi, everyone. Welcome back for week 10, our last and final week of our Joyful Journeys interview series for our fall 2023 Girls on the Run season in Northern Virginia. And today, we are joined by the most special guest, the biggest Girls on the Run celebrity of all time. We are beyond thrilled to be joined by Molly Barker. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Molly, and you're not completely fangirling like Sammy and I are yet, you will be. Molly is an educator. She's a triathlete, social visionary, and most importantly to us here at Girls on the Run, she is our founder. She is the reason we are all here. Molly, thank you so much for giving us your time and joining us today.
Thank you for asking me.
Wonderful. So like I said, this is week 10. You know the curriculum, you designed it, you did it yourself. So the girls are about to tackle that 5K this week. They are wrapping up with their community impact projects and just overall, looking back on a really awesome, amazing, empowering Girls on the Run season. But I will let Sammy take it from here and just get your thoughts on how we can keep the inspiration going beyond week 10 of the season.
Well, Molly, as an athlete yourself, you knew the importance of healthy movement and instilling that as a core value in our communities. But can you speak to why it was so important for you to expand Girls on the Run to be more than just a running program?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I started running when I was about 14, and that was something I did with my mom. She was way ahead of her time. She was in her late 40s. Now, give my age away here. That was 1970 something. So she was sort of like a Billie Jean King in the running world, right? She was running when there were no women running. And when I was about 14, she said, "Hey, you want to go with me?" And at the time, it felt almost like a radical act, to set off on the streets and go running. And it was also a place where it was very safe for the two of us. My relationship with my mom had been somewhat contentious before 14, and somehow it created a space for us to just be authentically ourselves with each other. It was a real sacred place. And I think that's what I was hoping would happen with Girls on the Run, is it could be both and. It could be sort of this radical space to have body autonomy and ownership of your body, and also be a safe space for connecting with other people and sort of connecting with yourself and your surroundings. So that it's got a dual purpose, it's both athletic and, gosh, spiritual is too strong a word, but it's just profound in how people connect in it.
Definitely. I mean, our participants make such strong connections with not only their coaches, but their teammates, anyone who is there at that practice with them week after week, and then especially their buddy runners at the 5K who get to celebrate that accomplishment and cross the finish line with them. Why was it so important for you to interweave the social emotional learning aspect of the GOATR program into this from the beginning?
It was important, and as you all know, it's still really the centerpiece of the program, right? We are so much more than a running program. Because at the time, now remember, it's been almost 30 years. That is mind-boggling to me. And at the time, and it's still happening now, there's sort of some restrictions that I think sometimes girls and participants feel that they have to sort of confine themselves to in order to be accepted by their peers and by society in general. You often hear girls having to make themselves small in order to fit into spaces, and that was going on back then. And so really giving the girls the tools to navigate those times when the world might want to sort of put a damper on their spirit and their power. And those tools, while essentially the same, as that we gave them back then that y'all are giving now, the outsides have changed a little bit. The environment's changed a little bit, but it is still sometimes really hard trying to just be yourself in a world that isn't quite sure what to do with you, So it's always important. That is the thing. That's why we do what we do, Yeah.
100%. And I love what you said, in the first part of that question of creating a space that was radical and at the same time safe and almost transcendent in a way. And, the only way in which we're able to do that still to this day, when girls come to meet their Girls on the Run team, is through their coaches. And, we hear so often from our coaches, they give to their team, but they get so much back and they get so much out of it in return as well. So what would you say, Goder has given back to you?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, it's always great to remember that, have a childlike curiosity about things, right? And I'm not saying childish, there's a difference, but to be childlike in like how we see the world. And when I was coaching and hanging out with the kids in the program, they just have this like wonder in their eye about everything. And when you begin to talk on these subjects that some of them might not have ever really talked about, their way of looking at things just so expansive. As we get older, it seems like we almost get more tunnel vision, and the kids are just so wide open. So that's definitely something I hope I've carried into my 50s and now 60s, is that sort of childlike curiosity. And then the other thing is just they're real. I don't think there's a realer bunch of human beings than third, fourth, and fifth graders, right? They haven't gotten sort of pulled into behaviors or ways of being that aren't authentically who they are. And so that's something else I can learn from them. And I sure hope I'm like that, as much as I can possibly be.
Absolutely.
I love that. And I think, Sammy and I both coach, and we're like sitting here nodding our heads like, yep, like going to practice and, again, creating that safe space where they can be authentically themselves. I love when they get goofy, because then I get to get goofy and I get to have that experience again of getting in touch with my inner child, but also, like you said, seeing the world through their eyes and, just how open and expansive it is. It's amazing.
When I was coaching, I forgot that I was being goofy. It just seemed normal to behave like that. You know what I mean? So I would go to other meetings and still carry some of that goofiness in, and then would suddenly realize, wait a minute, am I being goofy right now? I thought this was how all professional people behaved, So yeah, it's like, as I'm speaking with you, I realize how much I really need to be sure to spend time with younger people, that age, because they do keep you goofy.
They do. And not only do you get to just kind of let your fun side out around them, even though I've been coaching for multiple seasons, I've gone through the curriculum multiple times, I can still pull something new each and every season from those lessons. I mean, they are definitely not just for girls of that age. Anyone of any age can learn from these lessons. And that makes me excited to continue coaching, because I know I'm going to continue growing with them just as they're growing and glowing. But Molly, what are you excited for when you think about the future of Girls on the Run?
I'm excited. And the truth is, I'm kind of, I've had this excitement since its beginning days. I'm just excited by the collective impact the program continues to make and will make as our numbers grow. And I'm not about the numbers. I mean, I think that experience for one girl at a time is so important. Like, that's who we're serving, is that one girl in the group. However, those numbers are now grown into the millions. I think we're 1.25 million or something now. And I'm just imagining what that sort of force will be, as these people grow older. And that's what's exciting, just how is that going to impact the way we run companies, or the way we govern, or the way we lead businesses, or all the things, how we parent, whatever it is that a young person wants to do. How will they bring what they've acquired from Girls on the Run and the culture of that into that space? So that's what's most exciting to me.
I love that. And when we're out in the community, when we're out at events, I think one of my favorite things is when people approach us and they let us know that, hey, I participated in this when I was in so-and-so grade at so-and-so school. I mean, that is just so special that they make the time to come over and say, like, hey, I remember this. This was really impactful in my life.
Can I tell you about a funny thing that had happened? I was running on our greenway locally. Okay, so I'm running. I'm not as fast as I used to be, but I was kind of huffing along, and this young woman sort of comes in from a corner, and she's probably in her early 30s, late 20s, and she's moving in a clip. And I thought, I'm going to just tuck in behind her and try to hang on her, and I was completely unable to do it at all, and we got done, and I'm huffing and puffing, and she's kind of not. And I said, so man, you were hauling, way to go. You kept me going, as hard as I could. I said, how long have you been running? She goes, it's pretty cool. I started running when I was in 3rd grade with this program called Girls on the Run. And I was like, that is so cool that now, first of all, she's in her 30s, but there was no way I could ever keep up with her. You know what I mean? And then we had this great conversation. But it's always, I get just as excited by hearing that as anybody. It's still kind of mind-blowing that so many people have done it.
Yeah, 100%. We've been able to start presenting some, we call it Goater for Grownups lessons at youth leadership conferences in Northern Virginia, and recently attended one where it was just mind-blowingly empowering. It was all girls, all in their middle school and high school years, and just with these big ideas of entrepreneurship and changing the world. And speaking with some of them, they're like, oh yeah, I did Girls on the Run. I can't wait to hear the session and see what it's about and kind of get that refresher course again. But like you said, building that future generation, like that is so impactful and so empowering for what we do every day.
Yeah, and also remembering that and the impact that it has for a young person in the immediacy, in the moment, right? So I never know exactly what's going on in a kid's life. And I just think about all the mentors and the coaches and the beautiful people in my life that were there during difficult times that they didn't know I was going through, right? So it's like kind of being there for the girl when they're young, and then sort of, staying with them, not physically, but staying with them sort of emotionally as they grow older,
Yeah, it's a huge place of importance too, because like you said, this could be a program where it is their safe space. It could be their coaches there, that one adult that can, change the trajectory of their life. So it is so important and so vital for, for us to keep doing what we've done, and for us to continue to honor the work that you've created for us. So last question for you. We have this saying across Girls on the Run, it's not just us in Northern Virginia, that the finish line is just the beginning. So we've got, over 1,600 girls this weekend that are crossing that 5K finish line, some for the first time, some for maybe the 5th or 6th time. But what would you say to these girls looking ahead to their bright future of that finish line isn't just the beginning? How would you tell them to keep crossing the finish line?
I would do, okay. I would say that sometimes when we are getting ready to do something that we're a little bit afraid to do, right? We have fears, or we have self-doubts, or whatever it is that keeps us from sort of stepping up to whatever the starting line is, or the project, or the dream, is to just take the first step, and then take the next step, and then take the next step, and eventually you'll make your way forward. Does that make sense? It's like to just break it into little steps, to not think about the whole thing at one time. And I'm talking about anything, not just the 5K, whatever it is, just do one little thing at a time. I'm reminded of a young woman that this was years ago. She was fast, and not every girl's fast. I'm not fast, but this one kid was very fast. And I went up to her after the 5K, and I was like, man, you did that really fast. How'd you do that? And she goes, well, she looked at me like like, what are you saying? She said, well, I just put one foot in front of the other, and I did it fast. I thought, okay, yeah, it's that simple, right? So you just go at your pace, and whatever it is that you dream about, or inspire to be, or want to create, or be a part of, just take it, you know, just take the first step and then take the next step. And eventually, you know, you'll either get there or the path will turn and you'll go somewhere else. But to not look at it all at once.
I love that. It is so important to just take that one little step, because I know a lot of the times one of the lessons we talk about is negative self-talk, and that negative self-talk can prevent you from taking that first step. But if you're able to push those thoughts to the side, take one little step forward, it usually makes the rest of the process a whole lot easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And knowing that you have people in your corner, whether it's your Girls on the Run coach telling you, yeah, you can do it, you're going to make it across the finish line of this 5K, or, you know, it's a parent saying, no, you're totally going to get into your dream school. Like, that's the college you want to go to, aim high, you're going to get it, to, you know, big promotion at work. You know, it's still lessons that we as adults can continue to take away with, and, you know, as our dreams change over the year. So I love that sentiment, that just one step.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so much.
Yes.
You know, on that score, one other thing I will say that no is also a step. So one of the other things that I think Girls on the Run has done is teach girls boundaries, which is important too. So in the lesson where you breathe, you know, you take a few deep breaths and you make a decision based on that. So, you know, I've noticed that sometimes I'm going down a path and I think I'm headed in the right direction. Then I'm suddenly like, whoop, nope. You know, I need to change course on that, which is part of the process of the next step too. You know what I mean? So like, no is also a step. Not stepping forward is also a step, you know, like no is okay also. So it's just sort of being able to discern, when do I step forward and when do I just take a minute and think about it.
Yeah, and I love that you use the word part of the process, because I really think of our curriculum when I'm coaching and seeing the girls grow. I really think of it as a process. It's like, yeah, we start here, but we're going to get here together, and we're all going to take a different path, but we're all going to arrive at the same destination. Your journey at Girls on the Run might look different from mine, but at the end of the day, we're all culminating in this beautiful, inspirational, you know, idea of what girlhood and womanhood can be overall. And that, you know, is all thanks to you and your bravery in taking that first step many years ago.
Well, thank you all so much. And thank you for continuing to carry the torch, or whatever the, you know, correct terminology is there. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Molly. We are so grateful for you joining us today.
So they run this weekend.
It'll be this weekend. Yep.
So y'all go get it. Just have fun, and remember, if you can, to smile. That gives you more energy. Actually, there's research that shows if you have a smile, it like gives you more energy.
There we go. Just smile, everyone. You'll get all the energy you need.
Yes.
Well, thank you all for joining us over this 10-week series. We have plans to keep Joyful Journeys going into the winter, and we'll definitely be back for our spring 2024 season. Again, Molly, thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you guys next time.